McCall has one single purpose: to destroy Lennox Lewis.
He's actually going to be fighting for his life, I believe, before the fight's over. But I don't want them to stop the fight with him laying and bleeding and things of that nature. Let him fall first. Let me knock him all the way out.
The year is 1994. Lennox Lewis is fiending to become the new cream of the heavyweight crop in an era dominated by the eye-catching talent of Big Daddy Riddick Bowe and the real deal Evander Holyfield. After recently winning himself the WBC heavyweight title, due to complications with Bowe's lack of enthusiasm to fight Lennox the Lion and successfully defending it twice since, Lewis's next mandatory is the formidable Oliver McCall, a granite chin colossus with the skills to pay the bills and a fear-inducing past.
I knew that after a round or two, Lennox wasn't going to realize in his mind that he can't do nothing with Oliver McCall. And we all will be judged. We all will be judged.
Will Lennox Lewis make his mark as the new man in town, forcing Bowe and Holyfield to duke it out for second best? Or will Oliver McCall bring us an upset and have Lennox Lewis begin an early rebuild in a career that's been ensuring promise? Let's get into it. Heavyweight boxing has ebbed and flowed over the decades, from its soaring highs in the 70s to its years of dominant champions of Larry Holmes and Mike Tyson in the 80s.
How dare them challenge me with their primitive skills? They're just as good as dead.
Still, the 90s was becoming its own golden age. While the old heads of its time could never see the 70s being matched, young audiences around the globe quickly noticed what was unfolding before them regarding talent, personality, and potential. But every era of boxing needs its poster child, whether it be Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Robinson, or Mike Tyson. There always needs to be one who stands above the rest. And while in '94 it seemed the brash childhood friend of Mike Tyson, Riddick Bowe appeared to fit the bill with his fear factor and explosive title fights, it was Lennox Lewis who seemed to propose himself as the hero of the 1990s.
I'm in a unique situation where I can win the British Championship, the Commonwealth Championship, European Championship, and the World Championship, and that's my plan.
A British-Canadian heavyweight with an impressive amateur career and a thunderous right hand that could put the fear of God in the most robust non-believer's heart.
What a right uppercut, and another one, and a right, and down Williams goes.
I told everybody I got an arsenal filled with punches I can throw at any given moment. So, you can't really just watch out for the right hand when it comes to me.
Lennox Lewis didn't get pleasure from press conferences or wars of words like many greats before him. However, his battles in the ring quickly caught on like wildfire to the general public.
Any doubts in your mind as to what's going to happen today?
No, I think Lennox will do the business, as they say.
Being as likable as he was, along with an extensive fan base coming from the UK and North America, Lennox quickly found himself climbing not only the Ring magazine heavyweight rankings, but also the popularity polls. And now he had to put away an old sparring partner of Mike Tyson's past, the devilish and soon-to-be touted as deranged Oliver McCall.
I'm looking forward to someone making the atomic bull submit. Make my body submit in that ring, you bad. Tyson or no one never done that, and I don't think it'll never be done.
Oliver wasn't a fan favorite like Lennox was in his home country, and his appearance and demeanor didn't have fans lining up to look or act like him. Still, he made up for his lack of pop culture promise with a hard-working attitude and a career that aged like a glass of French wine.
Before I'd gotten involved with Oliver, I'd heard a lot of things about his past, but I found Oliver to be a very extremely intelligent person. He's a gifted all-around athlete also.
I'm a little fish in a big ocean there. And you know what? I love being that because I could really be more or less normal.
Despite having 5 losses on his record accompanying his 24 wins, his talent was undeniable. His most recent falter came to the 45-1 former world champion Tony Tucker in a controversial split decision loss. And this close shave with greatness seemed to spark a motivation in McCall that until now had only been a pipe dream.
Beginning to look fed up. Oh, he doesn't want that. He's walked away from it.
and a slew of 5 wins in a row, including an 8th-round knockout of the former world champion Francesco Damiani. Oliver McCall had achieved himself a prestigious title shot, and with the other belts at the time being held by Evander Holyfield, who was wrapped up in a trilogy with Riddick Bowe, and Herbie Hyde, who was also set to fight Bowe as his mandatory, the only man free to battle was the undefeated Lennox Lewis.
But I'm going to actually knock him down. I want to be the guy that knock him down, out, count to 10, and he's out. All right, now revive him. I hope he's okay.
So while many assumed this should be another easy job for Lewis following his bashing up of Tony Tucker, who had only recently beaten McCall, Oliver's new lease on life spelt trouble for this seemingly unbeatable champion, especially with the Kronk Gym's very own legendary trainer Emmanuel Stewart on the Atomic Bull side. But we'll hear more from him later. Fight night arrived on September 24th, and as the two men entered the ring, it was clear they both meant business. There was no flashy entrance, no dancing and clowning around, just two men ready to do a job together with hopes of finishing it quickly. As they traded icy stares from across the ring, the referee recounted the rules, and just like that, one of the most critical fights in these two world champions' careers began and set off like a K-9 unit upon a cartel mission bust.
Here we go. Lewis standing like a statue, much as he did at the beginning of his flawed defense against Bruno a year ago. Lewis's most ardent supporters want to see him move, jab, and box. Use his extraordinary athletic talent. Lewis pawing with the jab as he did through much of the fight against Phil Jackson in May. Emmanuel Stewart has worked with McCall during the past couple of weeks. Been a slow start for Lewis, and McCall seems to be waiting for the big man to try to do something. Lewis misses with the right. McCall gets a right hand to the body inside. Right hand lands for McCall over the top. If the first round is a prototype, so far it's a good one for Oliver McCall. Lennox Lewis hasn't really established anything in round one.
Lewis threw more left hands and fewer right hands in the first round than we've seen him before, Gil. His own fight plan.
And you know, Larry, down goes
Lewis, having caught a short left hand inside.
6, 7, 8, 9.
What is this? The WBC's referee has stopped this fight after a count to 9. And we're going to have a riot here. Jose Guadalupe Garcia stopped the fight in the second round.
You knocked him down. He gets up at the count of 6. He was wobbly. He was glazed.
He would have got knocked out again.
But were you surprised that here in his hometown they stopped it that quickly?
No! Hey! No! What y'all want me to do, kill the man?
I felt the referee kind of stopped the fight a bit premature. I'm heavyweight champion. I was heavyweight champion in the world, and I should have that respect.
I really wanted a hard fight. To me, the fight wasn't really getting on. It was easier than I thought, but I take it. I'm gonna have some hard fights ahead, and I'm looking forward to them.
Following the fight, Lennox wasted no time in getting himself a rematch with his opponent, following a few tune-up victories among the former world champion Tommy Morrison and brutal contender of his time, Ray Mercer.
This is a fight preparing for Oliver McCall, and the same way I boxed there, I'm going to box the same way when I box Oliver McCall again because I want my title back.
But in this small amount of time, things were vastly different for the two competitors. McCall had gone into his first fight with the power of the Kronk Gym on his side, but this time the tables had turned.
I got a phone call after the McCall and Lennox Lewis fight, and when I received the call related to training Lennox, I thought about it for a while, even though at the time I was handling the heavyweight champion of the world, which was Oliver McCall, and I looked upon it as a challenge.
He's a trainer that he would speak, and all of a sudden I would listen and I could understand and actually do what he would want or what he was telling me to do.
Joining forces with the Lion in hopes of earning back Lennox Lewis' chance of becoming the great heavyweight of the 90s, Lennox improved leaps and bounds while intoxicating his heavyweight peers with fear.
And there's a lot of it. Fortune is caught here and in terrible trouble, and it stopped. Oh, it stopped. Even before he hit the floor, Roy Francis had decided that that was enough.
Unfortunately, before their rematch, Oliver McCall lost his WBC world title to the lovable killer Frank Bruno in a vicious 12-round affair. Luckily, since then, Mike Tyson has stolen the belt and promptly vacated it, meaning the WBC title was up for grabs in this bout that screamed déjà vu. Alas, as Lennox stood upright in the ring before the bell rang this time, it was as subtle as a Disney twist villain that he seemed confident the end of this bout would herald different results than before.
Round one begins. Emmanuel Stewart said that he expected Lewis to be tentative. McCall effectively followed the fight plan put forth by Stewart. Does he have another plan tonight? Stewart goes on to point out that Lennox is by nature a cautious counterpuncher at the beginning of his fights anyway.
Until it creates itself from long reach, stands back, uses his reach. Good body punch by McCall.
Round one, kind of a feeling out round for Lewis. 49 of Lewis's 57 thrown punches in the first round were jabs. He didn't land but 10 of them, but he set the tempo early.
He's going to be a little reluctant because of the earlier fight in that right hand.
And as McCall threw two wild overhand rights, you saw how wary of that punch Lewis is. Now there's a good stiff jab by McCall, and Lewis demonstrates exactly what Benton talked about. Doesn't throw punches when he backs up. Hard right hand by Lewis. Just misses an uppercut. So Lennox Lewis begins to throw the right and takes advantage of the charging McCall with that uppercut. Another uppercut lands in there for Lewis as round two comes.
Round three sees Lennox using his newly found dominance with his jab to ping crude rights and clean lefts off of Oliver McCall's armored dome.
Was delivered a lot quicker.
Kind of stamina McCall has tonight. If this goes into the later rounds, he's in rehab.
As the round finishes, it becomes clear that all is not right with the Bull, who struggles to keep his head clear and mentally begins to deteriorate in front of his team.
Win every round. If a knockout comes, good.
That was almost a two-point round. McCall is doing a very strange thing here, folks.
He's walking around.
He's wandering around the ring. He hasn't gone to his corner, and he's trying to figure out what's gone wrong.
After refusing to accompany his team at the end of round three, Oliver stands in the ring throughout the fourth without throwing a single punch.
Punched at numbers in round number 3. And here he takes a hard right hand to begin the fourth. Lewis seems unsure what to do as McCall occasionally looks away from him and invites him to attack. This is a bizarre scene.
Oliver, you gotta fight. That's what Mills should be saying to him because he's not doing anything. This is one of the strangest things I've ever seen in a championship fight.
Right hand by Lewis. McCall able to take it even though he had his hands down. Yeah, now Mills Lane is going to call time and have a conversation with McCall.
After returning to his corner at the end of the fourth, while crying and protesting, insisting he'll keep fighting, Oliver's team give the Bull one more chance to prove that he's strong enough to finish the fight.
You heard Mills Lane say, do you want to fight? Reluctantly, it seems, he said yes, but it doesn't show on his face. This is a disgrace.
And it's placed Lennox Lewis in an awfully difficult and awkward position. Lewis doing what he has to do.
This isn't right.
And that's going to be it.
After just 1 minute of the fifth, Mills Lane had had enough of Call's antics and rightly stopped the fight, making Lennox Lewis a world champion again, arguably the strangest technical knockout in boxing history.
Now, in that third round, I threw one jab, and then invited him to hit me. He hit me. It did not faze me at all. I knew that after a round or two, Lennox wasn't going to realize in his mind that he can't do nothing with Oliver McCall. And we all will be judged. We all will be judged.
In the years that have passed, Lennox Lewis has given many interviews regarding the nature of the bout and insists that he had prepared for anything to happen in the ring on that night. with the exception of what Oliver McCall had done.
No. What really happened, I went back to the corner. My trainer, Manuel Stewart, said, well, what are you doing? I said, man, he's crying. He said, so go beat him up then. So I was like, okay.
Lennox went on to become a Hall of Fame heavyweight legend following on from these two battles, and with the great Emanuel Stewart by his side, defeated legends of all shapes and sizes, including Mike Tyson, Vitaly Klitschko, Evander Holyfield, and more.
Lennox Lewis is the best. I laid them all to rest.
Thank you very much.
I am the best out there. I want to prove it. I went through some things. I got over that. I'm ready, and I'm more dangerous than ever.
Following a mental evaluation and monetary fine, McCall got his boxing license back, proving he was doing well enough to get back in the ring. He fought until the 2010s, going from champion to contender to gatekeeper to journeyman. Whether the suspension affected his career is hard to say, but despite this loss being the beginning of a downward spiral, his knockout victory over what many regard as the best heavyweight of the last 30 years when undefeated is a feat that can line up against many of the most outstanding achievements in the heavyweight book of accomplishments.